The purpose of this video is to show you how to develop your analysis when writing literary analysis paragraphs. Demonstrating this skill amounts to showing your reader how you think, and it will make your paragraph more developed and more sophisticated. Take a look at these 3 examples of evidence and analysis. They are all analysis from the short story St. Lucy's Home for Girls Raised by Wolves. I'll read the 3 examples. In this case, I'll read the context and evidence only once. Then pause the video and evaluate them based on which is the clearest and most developed. A. During stage 3, Claudette reflects on how Mirabella annoys the girls, particularly because she hasn't adapted as quickly as they have. Mirabella's bright eyes had dulled to a sour whiskey color, but you couldn't show Mirabella the slightest kindness anymore. She'd never leave you alone. You'd have to sit across from her at meals, shoving her away as she begged for your scraps. Mirabella's dull eyes indicate a physical sign of depression, but instead of showing concern, Claudette is embarrassed to be associated with her because Mirabella is unwilling to assimilate into the human culture. In fact, she shows no desire for it whatsoever. As wolves, the girls likely spent meal times together, showing each other generosity and compassion as they shared food. As humans, however, the girls shove Mirabella away and leave her begging as an outcast. Even though Claudette herself struggles, she is unable to sympathize with Mirabella, so Mirabella quickly becomes an outcast, depressed and lonely. B. This quote shows that even though Mirabella is Claudette's sister, Claudette shuns her. This shows that the girls aren't being nice to Mirabella, and as they become more human, they are losing positive wolf qualities like generosity and compassion. C. Mirabella is depressed, yet instead of showing concern, Claudette is embarrassed to be associated with her because she's unwilling to assimilate into the human culture. In fact, she shows no desire for it whatsoever. As humans, the girls treat Mirabella as an outcast. Even though Claudette herself struggles, she is unable to sympathize with Mirabella, so Mirabella quickly becomes an outcast, depressed and lonely. Take a moment to rank the examples from strongest to weakest, considering development. When you're done, continue the video to see the results. Go ahead and pause the video now. In the 3 examples, A is the strongest and B is the weakest, leaving C in the middle. Here's why. All 3 examples are accurate in their analysis. In this case, the understanding that the girls treat Mirabella as an outcast because they are becoming more human and less compassionate. B, however, rushes right to the conclusion without explaining how the writer came to that conclusion. Think of it this way. Analysis is not just about getting the right answer, but also showing the inferences you made to get to that answer. It's like showing your work in math. In addition, B uses forced constructions, such as the quote shows and this shows that. These constructions do not further the analysis and should be avoided. C does a better job showing the writer's thinking with specific inferences, such as Mirabella is depressed and the girls treat Mirabella as an outcast. However, the reason that A is stronger is because it goes back into the quote and pulls out specific details from it to expand on the analysis. In this case, explaining how Mirabella's eyes show that she's depressed, and what the importance of how they treat her during meals suggests about the girls' relationship. This is your goal in your analysis. Show the importance of specific words and phrases, and explain how they support your overall ideas. Let's see how this looks in action. I've decided that in my paragraph, I want to make a claim that Antigone is prideful, more so than wanting to honor the gods. So I've chosen the following quote as my evidence. After Antigone makes her intentions known to her sister, Ismene, despite declining the invitation to bury their brother, offers to keep Antigone's actions a secret. Antigone shouts in reply, "Oh, tell it, tell everyone. Think how they'll hate you when it all comes out, if they learn that you knew about it all the time." I've already written my context to introduce the quote. I've also included quotation marks and citations as I know I'm supposed to. So now I want to think about what's important in this quote. In this case, the fact that she's screaming, as you can see by the exclamation points, and the fact that she tells her sister that other people are going to hate her, and she's almost happy about it. Those are the 2 areas I want to focus on. So, I'm going to first talk about the fact that what Ismene is trying to do is essentially a nice thing. So, despite the danger, Antigone encourages Ismene to tell everyone what she plans to do. All right, as I was thinking, I actually decided what I really wanted to focus on was the fact that Antigone is aware that if everyone finds out that Antigone actually buries the brother, that she ultimately is going to get killed, but she doesn't care. This is more important to her that other people know this, even though it's dangerous. In fact, she screams at her to tell it. And then I think about what her options were. She could simply bury her brother and hope that no one finds out, or no one finds out that it's hers. She could bury her brother and just deal with the consequences if people find out. But that's not really what she's doing. She's actually telling Ismene to tell everyone, almost as if she wants other people to know that it was her. She wants that recognition. So I'm going to include that in my analysis as well. Rather than simply deal with the consequences, if people find out what she's done, she commands, I'm using a strong verb there, her sister to tell them so that they'll hate, and I'm going to include Ismene's name in here for clarity, so I'll put it in brackets, even though it's really just a short little phrase there. So she commands her sister to tell them so that they'll hate Ismene. This is important because Ismene is her sister. We have no reason to believe they don't otherwise have a good relationship. So I really want to include the fact that she wants people to hate her own sister. That reveals something negative about about Antigone. And then I'm not really sure I want to say next, but I want to make sure that it connects to my claim. That's what I always have to keep in mind. So I ask myself, what's my claim about? I'm trying to prove that she's ultimately prideful. While she is doing the right thing, really she's doing it in part because she's prideful. So I'm just going to come out and say it. This reasoning exposes a flaw in Antigone. And what is that flaw? While she's motivated to bury her brother to please the gods and ease her brother's soul, she's also prideful and stubborn and wants the recognition of doing the right thing. It's not, actually, I want to think about the fact that, again, going back to what I'm trying to prove here, talking about how she hates Ismene. In fact, she's willing to sacrifice her relationship with her sister. It's not enough that what she does is right. She wants her sister to burn for not doing so. All right. So now I've gotten my initial ideas out. I'm going to read back over my evidence and analysis a few times to make sure they flow, to make sure they're clear, I haven't repeated myself too much, and I might do some more editing. I might add another sentence or two. And I also want to make sure that my analysis explains how my claim, in this case, that Antigone is prideful. So that's what I'm going to be checking when I proofread it one more time. Now I want you to practice this on your own with the evidence that you've chosen for your lit analysis paragraph.